Comparing homemade tortillas to store-bought is like comparing dinner at Spago to Der Wiener Schnitzel. There is no comparison. Once you make homemade, you will never want store-bought again. I can't buy them anymore. I make my own tortillas all the time. It's really simple. You basically need a cast iron pan, a rolling pin. Ingredients are real simple, basically flour and water. So I'll show you how I make it. My recipe makes 8 tortillas, and here's how I do it. It's 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. It's a half teaspoon of salt. It's a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And I stir that up a little bit. And then I add 3 tablespoons of oil. Now I use heart-healthy canola oil, which is flavorless. You can also use olive oil, which gives it a little bit of a flavor. You don't need saturated fat to make good tortillas, that's the point. So I recommend canola oil over anything else. You stir in the oil. Now this step you can do, you could do in a food processor, but it's something else to wash, so I just do it by hand. And once it's kind of stirred in like that, it takes just a few seconds, just about like this. You kind of mash it down a little bit. You can use a spoon, a spatula, whatever for this. Then you add a half cup of hot water. And that's all there is to the recipe. There's the water. And so you stir again. And once it starts to come together, you're going to knead it just a little bit, just to kind of make a dough out of it. So let me put it over here. And you don't need to flour the board at all, or whatever surface you're going to work on. You put all the stuff down here. And then you kind of knead it. You're kind of, it's kneading, but it's also kind of just holding it all together. So I kind of squeeze it like that. If you can turn it over to pick up whatever loose flour. If you don't have I have a granite counter here, but if you don't have that, you can use what do you call it, a cutting board, something like that. Or just you could probably do this on a big plate. Sometimes you can even do it inside the same bowl that you mixed it in. So all you want to do is just have it kind of come together, and you can see how long that took, just a few seconds. And now it's like one solid mass. Now at this point, they say you should kind of cover and let it rest and put a towel on it, but I'm usually too hungry, so I just keep going and I have no problems. So as far as I'm concerned, you can keep going from this point. But you will need a very hot pan, so I'm going to put the pan on and start to preheat it while I get the tortillas ready. And I preheat to about medium high, just below medium high, because the pan has to be quite hot. So I'll get that going. And now we're going to make 8 tortillas. So I'm going to use what do you call these things? A cutter, a scraper. Cut it into about 8. You can use a knife to do this too, but you just want to make approximately equal sizes so the tortillas are about the same size. And there's 8 right there. Then each one you form into a ball. Now you can do it this way, where you kind of, make it smooth on the top. There's different ways to do it. Sometimes I do it like that. Sometimes I just take it and I roll like that into a ball. It doesn't seem to make a difference how you get there. It still all comes out into a nice tortilla. The pan is getting hot. Like I said, it's about medium high. It's got to be nice and hot. No grease on the pan, just grease-free. And so I flatten it out a little bit, and you just roll. This is the only part that's kind of work when it comes to this. And the thing is, I don't think you can use a tortilla press, because flour tortillas have to be really, really thin. So I just roll until I can almost see through it. And so if you make 8, they should roll into about 8-inch tortillas, and they're never going to be perfect circles. So the more you roll to make them nice and thin, the more kind of irregular they get. But that's what's nice about homemade. That's how you know they're homemade. So I don't know if you can tell, I can almost see the pattern of my granite under this tortilla. So that's how thin it has to be. You can see how it went from the size of that ball to this size. And even just when you think you're done, you just keep rolling some more. So roll it really, really thin. You just lift it off. It'll peel right off of the counter. Here it goes. You ready? You can hear that little sizzle. That means the pan's nice and hot. You want to watch, and you'll see it starts to bubble a little bit. And if the bubbles are too much, you can just press them down with whatever you're using. Sometimes you can use a spatula to press down the bubbles. And then the best thing I found is a pair of tongs like this. I always lift it up and check it. Now it's been on here for about maybe a minute, minute and a half. See, a little bit of brown. I like them a little bit more toasty, so I'm going to leave it on there for just a few more seconds, but you do have to watch. So it's good to roll right close to your pan so you can keep an eye because it is hot. Then you just put them in a towel and cover it over and put the next one on. So there we are, 8 homemade flour tortillas ready for scrambled egg, breakfast burritos, quesadillas, and they're beautiful. Look at these. Look how gorgeous. Look at them. Beautiful. Somebody get the butter. For more how-to videos, visit my website.